For once in a long time, I went out to shoot some rainy street photography in the streets of Hiroshima. I paired my Sony A7IV with my 85mm prime lens, and this kind of long focal length is perfect if you want to get some sort of a scenic, cinematic feel in your pictures. I didn't want to fall into the trap of playing it easy and spraying everything wide open at 1.8. More and more I realized that relying too much on the bokeh makes you a very lazy and not very creative photographer. I did the experience before of shooting only at f5.6 and above with my 85mm. The goal was to take and apply what I learned from this experience without necessarily restricting myself with my f-stop. Just being a bit more mindful and intentional with my depth of field, sometimes going for a deeper one with more things in focus, and also trying to play with bokeh when I felt it was appropriate. So by now I think you realize that I shoot one-handed with my camera in the right hand and my umbrella in the left one. I don't have any specific rain photography equipment, plus my 85mm. The Sony FE 1.8 is actually not weather-sealed. It has no rubber gasket, so it is better not to be too bullish with how it can handle rain. Going for an umbrella is the safe solution, I think, but it could actually be even the best solution when it comes to shooting street photography in the rain. For sure, when in the outdoors, you'd better equip yourself with rain gear and use weather-sealed lenses. But what I noticed with experience is that if you walk around the streets with your camera and an umbrella, you will look like a pretty lost tourist trying his best to take a few pictures despite the weather. And that's exactly what we want as street photographers. The more we can be associated as someone taking random pictures in the streets, the better. In such situation, you are less likely to break the scene and affect people's behavior, and this will lead to probably take more genuine shots. At some point I went on this pedestrian bridge to have another perspective, and I always found that shooting scenes from above give you a different feel that I like. That's one thing, but most importantly I also tried a few shots at lower shutter speed to introduce some blur in my pictures. I had several attempts at taking panning shots, but I struggled with this long focal length, and the motion was going vertically and not horizontally, which is a bit more difficult. At last I came up with the idea of taking a shot moving my camera vertically in a fast motion and as straight as possible. My goal was to end up with some sort of oil painting looking sides with the colorful billboards on the building. I'm pretty stoked about the results of these first attempts. This definitely motivates me to experiment more with low shutter speed photos. To make it more accessible, I saved the settings to one of the slots you can program, because what prevented me from trying before was the simple fact that I was lazy to move away from my aperture priority mode and set up my camera for low shutter speed shooting. My go-to settings are based on the shutter priority mode with the shutter at 1/25. My aperture and ISO then fluctuates according to my mid-range settings. Coming back to my rain photography setup, I only have one hand to operate my camera, so it is very important that I set it up in a way to have access to the most important functions and settings with one hand only. I have my camera set up with the AF on focusing method. I disabled the possibility to focus with the shutter button, so I can have the best of both worlds. When keeping track and focusing on moving subjects, I can leave my thumb pressed on the AF on while pressing the shutter and take pictures, but if I am in a more static scene, I can focus once by pressing the AF on and then releasing it. Then I just have to think about the composition and pressing the shutter with the right timing. I also have a button to lock exposure and lock the white balance. I use them not that often, but I think it's always good to have them. I would soon make a video diving deep into how I set up my A7IV for shooting both photos and videos at the same time. Actually, a lot of the principles are applicable to any cameras, so stay tuned for that. I hope you liked this wet street photography session. As always, link to my presets and Patreon are down in the description box below. Have a good day. See you soon. Bye.